Welcome to the easy MatCap video tutorial, and the MatCap is loaded in the plugin folder. And for this to work, all these tools that you're going to be using must be converted into a Polymesh 3D, or this tool will not work. And what we'll do is we'll bring the sphere out here, and it needs to be somewhat on the left side of the screen here. And we'll go to the Z plugin and press the Easy MatCap. As you can see, the new tool is the MatCap, and it dropped the Z sphere or sphere to the canvas here. And for this tool to work, your screen monitor must be 1024 by 768, or these buttons might not align just right on your screen. And if you accidentally just click on the canvas somewhere, well, you can delete all the markers from the MatCap, but it still does not delete the very first one. So that's why we have the reset button, and this will always bring us to the beginning. Reset only brings us to the beginning stage. And every time that you use this tool when you start a new project, you must select this button again each time. Alright, I'll move on to the next step. I'm going to load a reference image over here. And when I click this, it's going to give me an error. You must press the plane 3D first each time, then select your texture. Okay, you must do this in order. You must select the plane 3D over here, this button, then select the texture in that order. If you do it vice versa, well, it'll not work. So I'll select the plane 3D. It's rather better to select it here than over here, because sometimes this makes copies and you will select the wrong one. And with this tool, there's a zip file, and there's going to be some skin textures that you can put in your startup. What I have here is a Z-sphere that I had copied, just an image of it, and I'm going to see if I can get pretty close to the same material on this. So if I got a Z-sphere here, or sphere, and one over here, when I press the reference, it's going to make it a lot easier for me, because if I had a head here and a Z-sphere here, you're just not going to get the same result. So I want to see how close I can match the two together. Alright, now what I'm going to be using is, I'm going to be using the gradient cap. And how this works is, we're still in MatCap mode here, but I'm going to select in here and just hold my mouse button down in the color palette here. And when I drag out, the picker is going to come up. And I'm going to select the highlight of the area, and I'm going to let go. This is the highlight, or the lightest spot is going to mean the main color. And I'm going to do the picker for the second color, and you can keep an eye on the main color here, as you can see is when I drag my mouse. And when I drag over here, I don't want to do the shadow, I still want to do the color, so I want to get a little bit up in the color up here and let go. This is going to be my secondary color. So always remember, the secondary color is the darkest and the main one is the light one. Okay, I'm going to press the gradient MatCap. It says you must press the plane 3D. That's all we need to do. If you do this right in order, you will not get these errors. So I'll just press here, and I'll press gradient cap and give it a few seconds. As you can see, it got pretty close to the resemblance, so let me just go ahead and load up the reference image so you can compare the two here. So I select the plane first, then I select my image. As you can see, they're pretty close, not too bad. And you can adjust the intensity to do any adjustments that you want to brighten them up. And when this brought this out here, as you can see, there's some markers out here. And they go around the Z-sphere and they take samples of it, and these can be adjusted by selecting them. You can click by selecting them. That will delete them, I meant. And we can also do the highlight color. A little tip is, if you click here, I don't know if you can see in the video, do not snap it to the very far left or right or straight up. Just tilt it just a little bit. Hold the control key down. And this is where you can point the light. Sometimes it's got a slow feedback on it, so you got to pull it way out and go way in. And I can just go back here and delete it by alt-clicking it. Now at this time, I might want to save this. So I'm going to go ahead and save this set right here. And I'll show you why. Is because now if I press reset, it brings me back at the beginning. And if I press open, it brings all my markers back in. And if we delete all our markers, the gloss will not work. None of these sliders down here in the bottom will work. So if we go ahead and load back up the markers in here, as you can see, there's my markers again. Now we'll have the ability to adjust these sliders now. So this is from the beginning, and this is opens from the last place that we were saved at. In this demonstration, I'm going to use the MatCap button down here. Use your own textures to make material. For this to work right, we'll probably need to go to the preference. We'll initialize this here. Oh, we'll come up with some different results. We don't. And I'll go ahead and load a tool here. Load the chili pepper. Set it to the side of the screen here. And once again, since it's a new project, we'll select the Easy MatCap from the plugin. Alright, now we're going to press this button here. You must press the plane 3D first each time, then select the texture. Alright, must do that in order, or it will not work right. So now I'm going to load up this chili pepper here, pick the reference image for it, and then we're going to press the MatCap. As you can see, it got really close here. And of course we can adjust the intensity or whatever we want over here. Now this image worked out pretty good. It brought the markers back out here. And you can see it got the highlight here pretty good. So it nailed it pretty good, because it always nails the center of the image. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to load an image that might mess up, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. So let's start this over here. Preference, initialize. Go to the plugin, select the MatCap. Now we're going to use this again, and I'm going to load an image that's not going to look so right on it, and I'm going to show you how to fix it. So I don't get the error. I'll press the plane 3D first, and I'll select the bell pepper here, and I'll press the MatCap. As you can see over here, the center, the highlight is not quite the same as it is over here. So what I need to do is go over here, and I'll select the clone brush, Draw my draw size up a little bit. And I'll get some of the lighter color. I'll hold the control key and click here one time. And what I want to do is get somewhere in the center here. Just, you don't have to be very accurate. Now this, I'm going to make it kind of light here. Just kind of small, not too big. But I just made it a little bit big in the video so you could see it. And I'm going to select the MRGBZ grabber. And what I need to do is select somewhere in the highlight color. Click one time. Then hold the shift key down. And then we're going to drag out a perfect square. Then let go. As you can see in the markers down here, let me open this marker up for you. We'll select back to the MatCap again, I'm sorry. As you can see, it took some samples down here in the white and way up here in the stem, and that's not the color of the image. So what we're going to do is, since we use the MRGBZ and just crop the image, we'll be able to get the image this time. So we'll select the plane 3D, and then we'll select the image now. And then again, we can go over and do our highlights by just clicking here. Hold the control key down. And I got pretty close there. I had paused the video and loaded up another stage here. And this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use some of these skin textures that come in a zip file that you can download and put in your startup. And we're going to use that with the gradient map here. So we'll go Z plugin and we'll start it back up. And we're going to use this by the reference image. Select the plane. And we'll select the texture. We'll find one that we like. Load the reference there. Keep an eye on the main color as I drag. The first color is the main color, will be the brightest. It's pretty bright here. This is the main color. And we'll go over to the darker color. So always go from light to dark. And we must press the plane 3D just to show you the little air. So we'll select here and we'll select it back again. And this gives the variations with a gradient that we can use some, get a skin tone to it. I had paused the video and we're into the next section. We're going to load the sample button here. And we're going to be selecting in it with the picker here. As you can notice, some of these two colors down here are grayed out. That don't happen very often, but if it does, we'll just go to texture and just select any texture will work. And I'll activate these buttons here for you. So what I'll do is I'll select the color palette, hold my mouse button down, select the color, let go. This will be my main color. And we'll select a darker color, it'll be a secondary color. It's because we want to go from the light tone down to the darker tone. So we have a light tone or the highlight color, the mid-tone, and the dark tone, or maybe the shadow area. Now this model here has been poly painted, so it's got some texture on there. You're not going to see the true material, but it will get pretty close. So I'm going to press the gradient map before I do. Make sure that you press the plane 3D. And we'll press the gradient map. And we'll click over to the side here And we can adjust the gloss or whatever we want on here. And the saturation. And we also have some stuff up in the modifier that you can do some adjustment to. And you can repeat yourself by just selecting any other color if you wanted to try something different. Say I want to try the light pink with a really dark color here for the secondary color. It's plain. And you might always want to, when you mess around with it, you might want to update your markers by pressing here. So let's try that again on two different ones. You really want to pick the colors that are the furthest apart. I had paused the video and we are in the next step. I had loaded my mesh up here, and we'll go to the plugin and we'll start again. Now what this did is automatically save the tool. We're going to be using this for the poly paint. Since we don't have the tool loaded, we can just load it by the LT, load tools. And we're going to use this with the poly paint. It's important not to switch the material at this point in time, because you could get an error. So we'll press the poly paint. Now this tool here was textured, so what you see here and the textured might look totally different because it had hair on there, and I painted that on there, and skin texture. But anyway, it stripped them away when you use the poly paint. Alright, I'm going to go to the tool palette and subtools, and we're going to group split this one because I don't want to paint on the eye here. So I'll select the eye, and I want to change the material. At this time I can, but not at the beginning. And we'll go to the color palette, fill object, and we'll go back over to the tool palette and select the original model. I don't know why it's not updating over there. Let's see. Well, for some reason it's not updating over here. But anyway, and we'll go back and select the original red wax. I'll hit the Alt key for the symmetry here. And for this to work pretty well, I want to go and I want to divide this mesh up a little bit. I'll give it one more here. Now this here poly paint, it says poly paint with materials and textures or textures. As you can see, the MRGB's on. This is going to paint with the material. I'm going to turn my subdivision down just a little bit because it's getting a little laggy here. As you can see, it's painting with the material on it. And we can switch materials. we can also adjust the material settings if we wanted to. Maybe let's set the ambient real bright on this. As you can see, it updates on the mesh. I'll turn my stroke over to the lazy mouse. And if I needed to tweak back in here, see, I got a little bit the one material on the other material there, so I would go turn my stroke back off here, switch over to red wax, now if I wanted to paint with the just texture on here, I just switch over to the RBG here, and I would select maybe a texture I wanted to use with it. Now this selects just texture. And I'm going to go ahead and let's try a different one on this. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go back into the material. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the material back over to the red wax. Oh, need to turn the texture off. There's other ways you can do it. I could just fill the object on here and been done with it. And we're going to choose a different material. I'll make like a little fake cap here. And I will need to set the subdivision up on this because I'm going to use one of my brushes I have here, the stitch brush. I have a download for that. If you check my other videos, you'll see it. And I'll set the draw size down a little bit. And we'll go ahead and scale that up a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Sometimes we get some white lines through here. That's because you're seeing through the mesh and you're seeing into the background. If you set the display property to double, it should remove it. Well, it's not right now, but anyway, I'll just skip that part. So anyway, I'll just go ahead and now you see it made two dots right here. I'm going to Control Z that. What you need to do is you need to go ahead and click on the mesh and drag just a little bit. Now if you hold your shift key down and let that little red line get out just a little bit further, then let go, you'll get a lot better accuracy and it won't be so jag it up. It gives you a little bit more control. So I'll click, drag just a little bit, hold the shift key down, let the line get out just a little bit. You'll get a lot more smoother results. Click. And we'll do one for the top of the head. Trim off the cemetery. Hold the shift key down. I'll let this line get way out here, so that'll keep me from, we're getting real wobbly with this, so it should draw a pretty straight line. But anyway, that's how you can change the material and the texture. And let me load up the next section for you. I had paused the video and I'm into the next section. This model here was saved with the UVs disabled, which will allow me to poly paint. So this time I won't have to select the poly paint button down here, and I'll be able to select the material that I want. And we'll start off with let's find one that I like here, halfway decent. And I'm going to give you a demonstration of how you might want to use the some of these skin textures right here. This one here has a little bit of a blue and a little green, and some of the skin colors that that are underneath the skin. You get a lot of like the red and some of the green. Not so much the green, but some of the different colors. But anyway. And what I'll do is need to select a fairly decent enough that's got some blur to it, and we'll use the drag rect. And when we're painting with texture, we always want to make sure the RGB's on, not the one with the the material. And what I'd want to do is let's scale this up so you can see a little bit better. And always make sure that ZAD's off, so I'll Control Z that. As you can see, it gives it some color here. And I'll just go over a few of these with you. Probably wondering what some of these in here with the skin texture is. Like, it's got this red here. What would I use a red on this skin for? Oh, I'd probably use it for the lip area. Turn the intensity down a little bit. Let's go down a little bit more than that. I can wash some of this back out when I get done. It's always go just a little bit darker than you normally would. And I might do a little bit for the ear area. So I go to the stroke. And we'll scale it up. Let's turn that stroke back off here, or the lazy mouse stroke. A lot of this is going to get washed back out. And I got one of the darker ones in here. Now this might be for your like the eye area, or you want to get a little shadow in here. Somewhere you might draw a little shadow at. Like I said, always go a little darker than you would normally because we're going to wash some of this back out. And we'll go over and maybe pick a texture. Let's say let's see what we got here. This one here will wash out. It's kind of got all the colors are pretty blended together here, so I'll start washing out some of the purple in here. And the lip area just one time. Wash out a little bit of the ear there. Now we got some textures in here that actually got like a little bit of veins to it. So if I wanted to add some veins to the, let's say, the head. Now the intensity's down, so I might have to kick this up a little bit. And we'll spin the I'll spin my mouse around to move the veins however I want them. And we got some bigger veins in here if we want to do like the neck area. Let's see if I can find them. Let's see, got that one. We'll have to do the intensity up quite a bit on this one. Control Z that. Let's find a better one here. And we'll give them a little bit of veins up in here. And we'll wash a little bit of that back out. And you can always adjust the gloss whatever you want on it. But since I ain't got the markers on here, I'm not going to be able to do that. But I will be able to go to the modifier and do some adjustments here. Or let's see, I can and I'll get some different results here by just selecting a different one. And we'll go over one more thing, and this will be the last thing here in the video tutorial, and this will be the script button down here. And what this does is save the material. And that'll save the material into the material palette. It'll say MC, and it'll start with numbers like MC 5, 6. As you can see, I got up to 14. So let's say I started project here. And I like that material, I would select the script button, but you can see it's not in here yet. We're up to number 14. I will press the script button. It saved it. Now you notice it's not in there yet because you'll get that next time that you start ZBrush up, or if you initialize it. As you can see, we have our new material and MC015 palette there. But anyway, this is the end of the tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much.